I'd like to take this time with you to talk about taking advantage of opportunities that come our way. So I spent my summer working in a medical research lab because I had the opportunity to be a part of the Heritage Youth Researcher Summer Program, which took place at Foothills Hospital. The amount of learning that went on this summer was absolutely insane. And this is mainly because upon the arrival to my lab, I was given a research question. And it was my job to determine the answer to this question by the end of my 6-week stay. And so imagine this. It's your very first day at your very first job where you're surrounded by some of the smartest people you have ever met in an environment that is completely foreign to you. And you are told that you will be researching the activation state of microglia in the presence of opioid drugs, such as morphine, and if this activation is related to the tolerance that develops with the continued treatment of chronic pain with morphine. After I heard that, I think I could actually hear my brain imploding. And I was thinking, oh God, what have I gotten myself into? Because half of the words that were just spoken to me sounded like complete gibberish. But by studying on my summer holiday and reading countless amounts of scientific papers and researching in my lab, I'm pleased to say that by the end of my 6-week stay, it was easy for me to understand that through immunohistochemistry, immunocytochemistry, and scoring, it could be determined that microglia do in fact become activated in the presence of morphine, retracting their processes, increasing the size of their cell body, proliferating, increasing in fluorescent intensity, and in many cases, increasing in the percent area covered. And that could then lead us to believe that that activation is in fact related to the tolerance that develops when treating chronic pain patients with morphine. Now, for many of you, it still may sound like I'm mumbling, so let's break it down. This summer, it was my job to examine an immune response cell in the nervous system, specifically comparing the difference between cells treated with and without morphine. And by doing this, I discovered, and my lab discovered, that it is in fact related to tolerance that develops. And that was such an amazing learning experience. And then so now, although I learned a bunch of fancy words this summer, that is by far not the most valuable thing that I can take away from this experience. If I had to choose one thing that made it absolutely outstanding, it would be the people that I got to meet. I had the chance to be mentored by some of the smartest people in the world, and that is something that I wouldn't trade for anything. I learned so much from Dr. Tuan Trang and Heather Ludick-Pesch that is unbelievable. They taught me so much about the things that they know best. I took the opportunity to learn a bunch of stuff from them about experiments and all kinds of other really nerdy science stuff. But I also took the chance to get to learn some stuff from them other than science. And so, for example, one day after we had all had enough with our work in microglial cells for the day, we sat there and talked about what universities I should attend and what programs I should get involved in, and ultimately how to be successful. And so this summer I learned a lot about science. But one of the main things I can take away from this is the fact that I learned so much about the real world. And I also got the opportunity to meet some extremely cool people, like Dr. Sutherland, who is the man that designed the NeuroArm, which is a surgical robot that is specifically designed for neurosurgery. And upon meeting him, I had the chance to play around with the controls of some prototypes and talk to him about his career and all the amazing things that he had accomplished. And he is by far one of the coolest people I have ever met. It's insane. And then also, this next part was definitely one of my highlights of my summer, but it's a little gross to some people, so just prepare yourselves. I got to go the chance to explore a gross anatomy lab, where I got to work hands-on with human cadavers, and I got to just really examine the human body. And there was a specimen there whose organs were a complete mirror image. So their heart was on the right side of their body, and the liver was on the left. And it was just, one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And if I would have never gotten the chance to see that, if I hadn't taken the opportunity to be a part of the high-risk program. And lastly, sharing this experience with 22 other high school students from across southern Alberta was incredible. It was so nice to be surrounded by people that valued the same things that I did, as they were just as dedicated and determined and shared the same love of knowledge and learning as I did, and it was just amazing. Like, whether it was from the super high-tech pipettes that we got to use or a new experiment, we always had something new to learn from one another. And so this summer, I can take so much away from it, because I broadened my knowledge base, and I got a taste of what it was like to be in the real world, and I got to be mentored by some of the smartest people I've ever met. And it's weird to think that almost a year ago, I was attending the Canadian Student Leadership Conference in Weyburn, Saskatchewan, where I met a girl from Edmonton who had done this program the previous year. And after talking to her and doing a little research of my own, I sent in my application and was given this opportunity to work in a medical research lab for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, for 6 weeks of my summer. And it was an absolutely incredible experience. So the high-risk program, it taught me so much about answering a research question and about science. But most importantly, this summer I learned the importance of making the most of the opportunities that we are given. So thank you for your time.